All right, so here my A is 1, my B is negative 12, my C is 20. So what's A times C? 1 times 20 is 20. What's my B? Negative 12. So I need to find two numbers that multiply to 20. Well, I've got 4 times 5. And here's the deal. I know that they have to both be the same sign because my AC is positive, but they need to both be negative because my B is negative. But I'm just going to try to find two numbers that multiply to 12, period. So 20 is 4 times 5. What else is it?
2 times 10.
2 times 10. And 1 times what?
1 times 20.
Great. So try each of these and see if those numbers add up to 12. If you do, then you just make them both negative, and you've kind of factored it.
Oh,
So write in your options here, and then write what they add to. Well, 4 plus 5 is 9. That doesn't work. Do you see what I'm saying? So take your two numbers, multiply them. They multiply to 20. Do they add? And then write down what they add to. And your goal is to get it to be where they add to 12, so then you can make them both negative. Is there understanding what I'm saying?
yeah.
Because really this would be, if I get that, then I could say, okay, I can make this negative 4 and negative 5. So it adds negative 9. So maybe I'll just write them like this. Two numbers that multiply to 20. And I know they both, how do I know that they both need to be negative? My AC is positive, so they both have to be the same sign, both positive or both negative. But since they have to add up to a negative number, they both need to be negative. So just kind of use a little bit of trial and error with that. Or a little bit of logic, either one. Look. I need my sum, which one of these adds up to 12. These two here, so negative 2 and negative 10 add up to negative 12. So these are the ones I want, which means that I'm done. If I did I like to do my diamond, personally. So if I were doing my diamond, I'd say, okay, they, AC, so that's 20, and they add up to negative 12. That's going to be negative 2 and negative 10. So then I'm done. That's basically it. I just write them as x minus 10 times x minus 2. Next one over here, let's see two numbers that multiply to negative 18 and add to negative 3. Let's try them. Let's see, 18 could be 3 times 6, 2 times 9, 1 times 18. One has to be positive, and one has to be negative because this is negative. Right, so it means one's positive, one's negative. So it means I need to find the difference of them.
The result will be negative because the sum is negative.
Right, well, yeah, absolutely. Definitely true. And yeah, like Fox was saying, the larger one will have to be negative. But first, let's just figure out what the difference is between these. Well, if I do 18 minus 1, I get 17. If I do 9 minus 2, I get 7. 6 minus 3, I get 3. So that's the one I want. I want 6 and 3.
Oh, we're doing minus here, not plus?
Yeah, because when you multiply them, it's negative. That means one's positive. The only way I get two things being multiplied together being a negative number is if one's positive and one's negative. So you're going to have to subtract them. One's going to be a negative number. So it's good.
Yeah.
Eric, do you see what I'm saying? If one's positive, one's negative, they need to find the difference between them.
Yeah. I just thought in the box there you were just supposed to add, though, on the right-hand
Well,
side.
but one of them is negative. So if you add them and one's negative, it's the same as subtracting it. Just make one, if you want, you can just make one negative if you like that.
Yeah.
Is that better? You feel better about that?
Yeah, I ended up doing it right, but
Okay.
I just like step by step I kind of just do that.
Right, so then here's my A times C, which is negative 18, and my B plus B b, which is -3. So if I do it that way, I can say, okay, well, two numbers that multiply to -18 and add to -3 are 6 and 3. One of them is negative, and like Fox was saying, since when they add their negative, that means the bigger one has to be negative. So this -6 has to be the negative one. And then you can just factor them. X plus 3, x minus 6, and you're done. There is homework on those. You folks should practice the homeworks on there, because now we're going to add a step and make it more complicated. Now, what if my a is not 1? I have a number in front. So first, we're going to do the AC method, but that's only the first step. You're not done there. So here, I'm going to do it my way, if you folks don't mind. Here I've got AC plus B. A times C is 6 times 10 is 60. Everybody see where I got the 60 from?
Mm-hmm.
6 times 10. Right, this is my A, that's my B, that's my C. My B is -11. So I need two numbers that multiply to 60 and add to -19. So this is, maybe we'll do a quick comment here. AC, if it's positive, that means that they are both the same sign. If it's negative, that means that they're opposite signs. Or should I say one of each? One of each sign. Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
So if this is the case, if your B is positive, that means they're both positive. If B is negative, that means that they're both negative. Does that make sense?
Well,
If your A is positive and your B is positive, that means they're both positive. If your A is positive and your B is negative, that means they're both negative. Is everyone all right with that? Okay. Now, if your AC is negative, I don't know if I need to do this. If it's positive, that means the larger one is positive. If it's negative, that means the larger one is negative. Is that more complicated? I haven't ever done this for folks before. I haven't ever spread it out like this before. So you can kind of, it might help you sort of sort things out. And notice if your AC is positive, they're both the same sign. If your B is positive, it means they're both positive. If your B is negative, it means they're both negative. If your AC is negative, that means you have one of each. And you're looking at the, maybe this is more important. Maybe this is more important. A times C. If it's positive, then you add them. Add them to get B. If it's negative, you subtract them, kind of in a way, right? You find the difference. One is negative. Does that make sense? When you add them, one's going to be negative. Or I should say find the difference. Does everyone understand that find the difference means subtraction? Yes, no? So, for example, x squared minus 2x minus 6. Right, so factors of 6, that's 3 and 2. Since it's negative, or 6 and 1, since it's negative, I need to know that one's negative, one's positive. So 3 minus 2 is 1, 6 minus 1 is 5, so it's going to be these guys. It'll be negative 3 and positive 2. So we'll have x minus 3 times x plus 2. Again, none of this is making sense. We're going to have to do it after class because we can't spend all day on that one. All right, moving on to this part here. And you find two numbers that multiply to 60 and add to negative 19. Okay, so two numbers that multiply to 60. Let's see, how about 4 and 15? How about 2 and 30? How about 1 and 60? We'll try those to start with. Okay, 1 and 60, they need to be the same sign since my 60 is positive. 1 and 60 is 61, so that doesn't work. 2 and 30 is 32, that doesn't work. 4 and 15, 4 and 15 add to 19. So that's, I found a winner. 4 and 15. Here's the deal, they need to add to negative 19. That means they both have to be negative. Are folks okay with that part? Yes or no? Okay. Getting majority of yeses. Move on from here. So I'm not done though. I can't just do this. If I try to do this, x minus 4 times x minus 15, it won't work. When I FOIL them, I'll get x squared minus 15x, and then the bottom part's minus 4x plus 60. I'll get the first and last, I'll get x squared minus 19x plus 60. That's not what I started with. I started with 6x squared minus 19x plus 10. I've got just one x, it says 6 x's, and I got 60 times 10x. So this won't work. I can't do that. You can't go straight to that. When a is not 1, it's a number, you have to add an extra step. So this is the first step. Now, you have two choices. Here's the first choice. I started with 6x squared minus 19 plus 10. Plus 10? Plus 10. Great. I can either do substitution method, which means I'm going to substitute in these numbers. Oh, sorry, 19x. For the 19 in the x. So that's the first possibility. So let me show you what that looks like. So instead of, I'm going to write everything else the same, 6x squared, and 10 over here. So these parts stay the same. But this part here becomes, instead of negative 19x, I'm going to do minus 4x minus 15x. Does everyone see where those came from? From the negative 4 and the negative 15? Does everyone agree? Everyone look up. Does everyone agree that negative 4x minus 15x gives me negative 19x? Mm-hmm. Yes? So I'm just taking this and I'm substituting in these two parts. Now, I can successfully do a factoring by grouping, factoring by grouping. It doesn't matter whether you do the 15x first, the negative 15x first, and then negative 4x second. You can do that too. You'll get the same answer. So it'll just be flipped around. So now I'm going to factor by grouping. Let's see, factor by grouping. These two, circle that. Those two. What can I pull out of both 6x squared and negative 4x? I can 6 and 2. I can pull out a 6 and 4. I can pull out a 2. And then as far as the x's, I can pull out 1x. Correct?
Mhm.
I'm left with 6x squared divided by 2x gives me 3x. Negative 4x divided by 2x gives me negative 2. Everybody all right with that part? And then I have a minus. What can I pull out of 15x and 10? 5. It needs to be negative 5, right, because it's negative. You have to match up the symbol here. So if I take negative 15x and pull out negative 5, I'm left with negative 15 divided by negative 5 is 3x. Positive 10 divided by negative 5 is negative 2. And look, we did it right because inside we have 3x squared and 3x squared. No. Sorry. Thank you. 3x minus 2. It hasn't even been a long day. 3x minus 2. Thank you so much for saving me on that. And saving it the whole class from confusion. So I'm pulling this out of both of them. And what am I left with? 2x minus 5. Done. I could have, if I flip these around, so I had the 15x first, negative 15x first, and the 4x second, then inside this factor would have been 2x minus 5, and then I would have had left 3x minus 2. It works out either way. You can do it either way. All right, so that's for those who like the factor by grouping. If you do not like the factor by grouping, this is actually my favorite way of doing it. I'm going to do the box method. So this is factor by grouping. That's option 1. Second option is box method. Option 2. Okay, so I'm going to make a box. Anybody who does not like the factor by grouping method, pay attention to this one because this will probably be your favorite. Okay, so my first, what goes in the top box, this first box here, what was my function again? It was 6x squared minus 19x plus 10. Okay, so the first number goes in the first box. 6x squared. Everybody with me? Everyone look up. First number, first box, 6x squared. The last number, the plus 10, goes in the very last box. 10. Everybody all right with that part? Yep, 10, 10. Everybody with yes? No?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Folks see where those went to? So this one goes in the first box. This one goes in the last box.
A and C.
Yep. Now these two numbers, the negative 4 and the 15, they go here and here with x in them. So this becomes negative 15x.
Is there a specific order?
Nope, doesn't matter. Same thing. As long as they just have to throw an x in there, right? These are my x's. So you can put them in either spot. Doesn't matter. You'll get different numbers. They'll flip flop is all.
So you still have to do this previous method to get those numbers.
You still have to do this.
Yeah.
You have to do this either way.
Okay.
From here, you can do option 1, factor
Okay.
by grouping, or option 2, the box method.
Okay.
This is required.
Okay.
All right, so now I have to say, well, what can I pull out of both of these? What can I pull out of both of these?
3,
3, and then what?
x.
X, great, 3x. So I'm going to pull 3x out of both of them. I'm going to write it out here. And so then what times 3x gives me 6x? So sort of these two things here multiply to give me this spot here. These two things, so 3x times what gives me 6x squared? 2x. So what we're saying is this times that gives me 3x squared. Does that make sense for folks?
Mhm.
All right, so then 3x times what gives me 15x? Negative 15x. So 3x times what gives me negative 15x?
5.
5, yep, but it should be negative because this is a negative there, so negative 5. So are people following that part? Okay. So we're saying is this number times that number gives me that number, right? Because they kind of, they merge into to get to that spot. Okay. Now the bottom one here,
2.
2x times what gives me, 2x times what gives me negative 4x? Negative 2. Or if you'd like better, you can just factor out what you can out of negative 4x and 10. Either way works. We're going to pull out both of these, but then you have to be careful about the sign, negative 2. And then the last one is a check to make sure that if you multiply this times that, you get this. So if I multiply negative 2 times negative 5, do I get 10?
Yeah.
Yes, so now we know we're good. We have the right numbers. And then that's it. It's just this part here and kind of this part kind of here. So it becomes 2x minus 5 and 3x minus 2. Done. And you'll see it's the exact same thing we did down here. 3x minus 2 and 2x minus 5. Same thing. So some folks will like the box method better, and some people will like the factor by grouping method better. I don't care which one you use. They're both. Yes. Yeah, let's take a break. Take a quick 10-minute break till 12:30.